Good evening. Welcome to Health Quest. I'm Deborah Arneson, your host for the evening, and we have a terrific show, so don't turn your dial. We have two exemplary physicians this evening joining us to talk about a number of different things, but more importantly, talking about ways that you can help prevent disease and actually assess yourself as you're going through life and going through the stressors of your life. And I had the great good fortune of being introduced to Dr. Bain here and Dr. Weissman through my yoga teacher, so who we're going to have on next week. So you can meet Erin and see how she's doing. But I came to them because I was looking for a way to do breast exams or something as an alternative to mammography, and I heard that you offered the thermal digital imagery at your clinic, which is up north.
Right.
And it's called the Way to Optimal Health, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a great name. And this is Dr. Bain and this is Dr. Weissman. So we have to thank them for being here because their days are long and arduous, and they've come all the way down from the north side of Chicago to be here with us, and it's great to have you. So we don't have a lot of time. It goes really fast, you guys. So we're going to have to get out as much information as we can in as little time as possible. So just to begin with, let's start with Dr. Weissman, who we haven't had on the show before. If you could just tell us a little bit about you, and where I know I looked at your wall and I was just amazed. I have never seen more degrees and certifications on a young person's wall in my life, I don't think. So you've studied in Sri Lanka and India, I believe. You've been all over the place.
China, yeah. And China? I basically turned myself a holistic physician. I have my doctorate in chiropractic and naturopathy, and if I was in Sri Lanka, I would have my doctorate in acupuncture and multiple diplomats in homeopathy, different forms of natural medicine that just allow the body's innate capacity to heal itself work.
Now, studying all these different modalities of healing, how did you ever decide or come to focus on one or two or three, modalities? Just something that you were the most attracted to?
Well, I don't focus on any one.
You kind of let it go.
Yeah, and I use the language of the body as a tool for me to understand why the body might be speaking in its particular way. My forte of assessing any person is through muscle testing, through the neuromuscular reflex of kinesiology, and through that I'm able to peel back the layers of an emotional problem, of a structural problem, of a biochemical problem, of a spiritual problem that a person may be experiencing.
Well, I had the good fortune, and it was a bad, what I would term a bad time for me, because it was at the end of like a month of craziness, not sleeping, doing lattes, I think almost every day. Yes, I do bad things. And drinking champagne 2 or 3 nights a week because I was determined to have a really good December and see all my friends, right? So I went up there and I was like, no, I'm not going to do the workup. I'm a train wreck. And they were like, well, I know, you should do it. Well, they were like, you're a train wreck. And I did my workup with Dr. Bain, and he was like, you need to work on some things here, and he prioritized for me with the thermal digital imagery. And then I worked with your homeopathic physician who did the Bach flower remedies for me and the homeopathy, and they kind of put everything in one little homeopathic preparation. And then I worked with Dr. Weissman, which was wonderful in the sense that I did a lot of releasing. I mean, I was very emotional when you worked on me, and then I asked about the bowls. What are those called again?
Those are called crystal healing bowls.
The crystal healing bowls, which they're beautiful, they're magnificent, and he just went directly to this one bowl, and he said, we're going to do this sound for you. And it sounded like the whole universe was filling up with this sound, and I just closed my eyes, and I saw green, and it was just like a big, huge emotional release. It was amazing.
Yeah, we were working with your heart chakra.
We were working with my heart chakra. This is, green. So it was amazing. And it was just, he goes, your heart chakra's closed. And I was like, I work really hard to close that thing sometimes, So we just opened up. And after that, I got pretty darn, laid on my face because I had been really pushing the envelope. And, I'm back to normal, if not even stronger than before. So it's like when your body needs an adjustment, go to these guys, they'll adjust you, and you just turned me around. It was great. I needed it. I needed to put the brakes on. It happened, so everything's perfect as it is. But your background then is as a chiropractor, and you do holistic medicine. Dr. Bain, you do the same, right?
Exactly.
And we had you on our show last week. But for those who missed you, tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm also a chiropractic physician, and my forte is also natural medicine. I spent 4 years in Europe, traveling around and studying under certain holistic physicians throughout Europe, and getting the essence of herbal medicine and homeopathic medicine and other forms of natural healing. Yes, yes.
So you had the opportunity.
Then I moved back to the area about 2 years ago. Darren and I went to school together, and we decided to join forces.
Well, the really great thing about knowing the two of you is this. I honestly told our doctor from India last year when I had the breast cancer scare, I said, you know what, from now on I'm going to India. I said, you're my doctor, I'm out of here if I have to fly 26 hours to see you, that's where I'm going. The good news is I can go to Northbrook.
Right, exactly.
You know, I mean, honestly, because I honestly haven't met anyone that I would put my life's, you know, well-being into their hands until I met the two of you. So I'm very excited.
Thank you.
Not only to have you in my life, but to be able to refer other women to you. Good. So talk to us about what you do at your clinic. I know your philosophy is, you know, the path to optimal health. That's the name of the clinic.
And it's kind of hard to
encapsulate
it in one word, but we take an approach that's I think when Dr. Weissman will expound on it a little bit, but we just interpret how the body's communicating with us. So we use different forms of diagnostics to see where there's stresses in the body initially. So once we find that particular area of stress, we then want to assess whether that stress is as a result of a physical stress, a chemical stress, or an emotional stress.
How do you do that?
Well, that's through the use of the kinesiology. But
what is kinesiology?
Kinesiology is muscle testing. It's using a muscle and a neuromuscular reflex that's associated with a particular organ system or a gland or whatever we may be looking at in the body. So there's a reflex for everything in the body. So we just happen to know where those reflexes are. And it's kind of like your body communicates with you every moment of every day.
We just ignore it.
We just tend to ignore it. Fortunately for us, we speak the language of the body, and we are able to understand what the body's trying to communicate to the person and help them realize that, help them understand what the body's trying to say to them.
Yeah. It's really an amazing thing because muscle testing allows us never to have to guess. And the
body tells you.
It just tells you. And so the strength or the weakness of a particular muscle that we use, just like if I were to tap on your knee with checking the patellar reflex, it would involuntarily move. The amazing thing, and it's outside most people's paradigm of reality because they've never experienced it before, but whether I touch on a particular point or think about a particular point and check it through a muscle test, I'm able to assess if you have high or low blood sugar, if your hormones are imbalanced, if your liver is communicating properly, if you're holding grief in your lungs, fear in your kidneys, resentment in your gallbladder.
Amazing?
It's amazing. It's amazing, and it's so experiential.
Do you find most people find that a stretch for them initially, if they're not seekers?
Yeah, well, if they're not seekers. I mean, we don't advertise.
Right.
I mean, we were asked to come down here, but we don't advertise to get patients. People come on a referral basis, and it's, you know, it's a waiting list practice.
But kinesiology has been around forever. I mean, it was used originally in Germany, wasn't it?
Well, George Goodhart.
Right, it's from the 60s, or late 60s, early 70s is when they started using it. It didn't become in full use till the 70s. But there's certain people that have taken those basic tenets, those basic ideas, and built on them. And we have separately and then now together kind of followed some of those people and joined, like some of the people who I followed in Europe. When I came over, I started to talk to Darren about what I had been learning, and he was telling me what he had been learning here. And then from there we started, and it's a great thing about having the type of practice that we do is we communicate continuously with people. And if I'm with a patient and I find something that seems different or seems like, hey, I'm consistently finding this with people, I can walk across the hall and say, hey, would you check this out?
Wait, can I just say something? And I have to speak of my own experience because it was phenomenal. I went into Dr. Bain's office first, and he did the thermal imagery on me. And then I went into Rebecca's,
Dr. Gold, yes.
Dr. Gold's office, and she did the homeopathy, and that's called what again?
Electrodermal screening.
Electrodermal screening, which I love. I mean, I have someone who does it on me at least every 6 or 4 months.
It's an awesome
yeah,
machine.
and that's usually my means of assessing myself. And then I went into your office, and you did the kinesiology on me. And each one of them came up, unbeknownst to the other, with exactly the same 2 interesting points, the liver and the pancreas. All of them. And they were all like coming in, talking to each other, oh, yeah, I got that, oh, I got that, oh, I got this too. And they were, you know, they're right on the money. So it was quite phenomenal to see that, and it was quite phenomenal to kind of gently be handed over from one to the next to the next.
Right.
And everybody said, okay, this is what I see. I mean, Rebecca picked up some things in the pancreas. She said, you know, there's an adenocarcinoma there. She goes, doesn't mean you have it, but it means the pancreas is headed towards trouble.
Right.
And she goes, and then I came into your office, you had picked it up first, and you said, your pancreas is just trashed. And I'm like, yeah, it's been getting champagne and coffee. But it was beyond that. And then I went into your office, and you said, you are holding a virus. You have a mutant virus. You know, picked up, and you know, went through the kinesiology, and you said, you've picked this up from a live vaccine that you had probably as a child. So, I mean, these things are far-reaching, they're deep, they're penetrating, and just because you take great care of yourself doesn't mean that things can't go wrong. You know, I take pretty good care of myself, believe it or not, you know, most of the time. So, you all know. I mean, you're amazing healers and practitioners, so.
Well, the essence is that the presence or the lack of a symptom has nothing to do with if you're sick, or actually if you're healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's really just understanding the multiple ways that the body is communicating with you, and you know, as you were saying, you know, is there any particular avenue in which I choose most of all, or which Dr. Bain or Dr. Gould chooses? And no, the essence is when people come in, we're here to empower you. We're here to empower you, to educate you. If you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting the same results. So what are the basics of health?
Right.
And the basics of health, they're super simple.
My next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll go right into it.
What are they?
So it's the quantity and quality of your water, your hydration, of your food, of your exercise, of your rest. How do you express your emotions? All those things affect you structurally, your musculoskeletal system. They affect you biochemically, how your different internal organ systems communicate. They affect you emotionally, and they affect you spiritually. So easy: water, food, rest, exercise, and love. So you know, once people start understanding that,
That is easy.
It
and
is.
People are just so overlooking of most of it. I mean, they just expect their body to perform and perform.
Right.
And
then,
again,
well, then all we do is step in and
Say,
listen to
yo.
listen to how the body's trying to communicate, and say, where is the roadblock? Because you know, a lot of times people want to say, oh, you guys are healers, and you know, that's nice, but really, we're just assessing why your body's not healing itself, because the body's an amazing, it's an amazing self-healing organism.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're assessing the roadblocks that's preventing your own body from healing on its own. That's all. And we are all in one. We are friend, coach, motivator, educator, all in one. And you know, when someone comes in with a problem, and we coach them through the problem and get them out of the disease model of medicine and into the health model of medicine. And this person is empowered, and their whole life is changing before their eyes. And you know, they want to give us credit, you know, but it's not about us.
Right.
You know, it's so we don't take credit at all when someone does turn themselves around. And in the same point, when someone comes in and does half of what we tell them to do, and you know, doesn't really get into the swing of things, we don't take the blame either.
Right.
So, because it's not about us,
Right.
and that's the essence of it.
And the people recognize it. And it's interesting now, because I'm sure you saw it all day today, you know, because here's after the holidays, it's the first of the year. You know, people are like, now we're in the swing, we're going to exercise, we're going to eat healthy, so they come back. And the truth is that whether this is, you know, their 5th year of being treated or whether this is their first time, I'm going to tell them the same thing. This is how you get back on track. This is the way to optimal health. Here's how you do it. This is how you take charge. And it's not some new rocket science. It's nothing that's, you know, newly invented. It's simple, back to basics.
So when people come to see you, do you find that for the most part these are people that are A, scared, or B, really interested in improving on what's already seemingly pretty good?
Both.
It is both.
It's a little bit of everything.
But usually, you know, because it's a referral-based practice, it's people, for the most part, that are motivated to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
And they know what they're getting into somewhat.
Well, and you know, people are, I think, at this point, you know, in the world of medicine, are so tired of not getting the right results and the right answers. That they have to be more self-motivated. You know, it's important. It's a time to take charge and get involved in your healing process.
And in today's day and age, people want a different way to do things. They don't want to take a pill. They're tired of it.
Well, they know one pill leads to a next and the
they
next
do.
and the next.
And the third leading cause of death in the United States is iatrogenesis, is going to see your medical doctor and taking a pill or having surgery. I think 140,000 people died last year from medications that were prescribed correctly and taken correctly. And doctors are good people. They're lovely. They're wonderful. And that's not their intent.
140 million people
140,000.
Yeah.
That was the Journal of American Medical Association last year. And so it's really, it's outrageous. It's an amazing concept. And so
that's scary.
It's frightening. It's frightening.
Yeah.
It's frightening. And so in understanding that, you know, what do we treat? You know, today people with diabetes, cancer,
on the rise, so
migraines.
much.
But I'm just saying, what are the different ailments that we treat? We just treat people from the entire gamut, you know. And the essence is to have people come in and like, we're feeling great. We just want to prevent things. I have no symptoms. You know, check me out, because it doesn't matter who comes in. Dalai Lama could come in, and I could assess him. I'm going to find something on him.
Sure.
Because the body's always communicating, and we can find through kinesiology, within 1 to 2% of breakdown, we can find dysfunction.
That's great.
And so it's a beautiful, beautiful way.
It is so non-invasive and so accurate.
Yeah.
Don't you love what you do?
Oh.
Never hard getting up in the morning.
Isn't it? You never go to work. What is TBM?
I don't defer that to Darren.
Okay, Darren.
Well, TBM stands for Total Body Modification, and it's a form of kinesiology, of the use of muscle testing to assess a person in a completely holistic way. And we've already talked about it, but it allows us to assess people for allergies. Okay, so if people have food allergies or environmental allergies or contact allergies or to anything it may be, we can assess them through TBM types of techniques, find out what's going on, and clear it, and clear allergies in 5 minutes.
Really? That's fabulous.
We can assess sugar metabolism problems in people.
So my chronic sinusitis, I could come on in and have you like check this out for me.
Yeah,
I think it's my dog's saliva.
But the first thing I would tell you is don't say my chronic sinusitis. Don't own it. Don't say my.
All right, well, yours.
Right.
Yeah, I've had sinus problems all my life.
Yeah.
Since I was a little kid, I was like all the time. My sister thought there was a monster in the bedroom.
So you got a backward thinking. What
Drainage.
could possibly cause that?
Cool. Sugar?
Sugar.
Sugar.
Dehydration. Those are your first two. Start there.
Yeah.
Start with what you're putting in the engine to make the engine run.
I'm not dehydrated. Well, it may have been then, but I'm not.
Might have been then,
Yeah, so it's just interesting. I mean, I've been reading a lot about it, too, and I know it's gut, small intestine.
Sure.
So, which you called.
Right. But that doesn't happen until the person's dehydrated and until their sugar metabolism's off. And then once it happens, the light switch goes off.
Right.
And then that part of the brain that controls that doesn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, some people think, well, I don't drink water because I'm not thirsty. Well, the first sign of dehydration has nothing to do with thirst; it's fatigue.
Right.
And once you stop yourself from taking in your water properly, the body stops giving you that message. You know, it stops giving that message, and then.
Well, that's a really interesting point, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is that when the body isn't getting what it needs, it will turn the signal off because it can't expend the energy expressing to you what it needs if it doesn't get the energy from you, whether it's water or food. You know, people starving, they don't feel hungry. Until
one day you've ignored it so long that your body goes kaboom. And then you've got this autoimmune disease, or then you have cancer, or then you have some major degenerative disease process working in your system, but it's been functionally dysfunctional for so long.
And waving white flags for years
the whole time, and you just weren't listening.
Right.
Because it's all about balance. Hey, the holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, vacations.
It's always something.
But life should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Life is fun.
Right, but you got to temper the.
Well, you can't expect someone to be passionate in one area and not in another. You know, so we gave people pretty much. You know, we told people, hey, it's the holidays. Go out and enjoy yourself. I would never tell someone for a birthday or for Christmas or whatever the holiday might be, don't do that. No, enjoy it. But when that holiday party becomes you know, the next morning getting up and having pancakes and maple syrup, and then this perpetual cycle of poor dietary decisions, poor lifestyle changes, and things like that, then now it's a habit. Now it's not a special occasion thing.
Right.
So
you need to know how to get back to the basics.
Right.
You know?
So what do you do with the thermal imagery?
The thermal imaging, or the computer-regulated thermography,
Like if I had my boyfriend come in to see you, what would you do for him?
Well, essentially the initial workup, we would use just a baseline kinesiological workup.
Okay.
So it would be an energetic assessment of all his organ systems.
Okay.
And it would address it from a physical, chemical, and emotional standpoint. Each one would be touched on very basically, just kind of turning the circuits on, so to speak. After that, we would do an assessment that would include the thermography. And the thermography would give us an objective printout of all his organ systems, functional versus dysfunctional, and then once they were dysfunctional, where were they on the spectrum of dysfunction? How dysfunctional were they? And like I said, you wouldn't use the same types of treatments or treatment modalities if there was inflammation as you would if there was toxicity.
May I interject a
Sure.
question? Let's say I send a friend of mine to you. Okay, forget the boyfriend.
Okay.
But a friend of mine who has really progressive diabetes. He's got neuropathy going on. Worst candidate for dietary intervention you've ever met. I mean, I actually told him next time he comes in, since I always do it as gratis, I'm going to charge him double because he obviously perceives no value in the information I've given him from a dietary vantage point. So maybe we're too close and he needs to see certainly someone like you. And some men just do better with doctor behind your name. They listen better if you're a physician. So that might be a really big help. But this man has the neuropathy going on to where the numbness is starting to creep up to his knees.
Yeah, but this is his issue. I mean, he has created this.
Right, exactly.
I mean, this is one
but
example
what would you do with
that is.
someone like that?
Well, you got
How
to
do
make
you
the change.
create
you know?
the hierarchy of what to do first, second, or third?
Well, first they have to make the decision that they want to do something for themselves.
Right. And we're assuming that they do that when they come in. Because if they're there and they're expending the time and the resources to be there, we're assuming that right away.
Now, this person's on 6 medications, I just found out last week. I'm like, oh, Madonna me. So, I mean, you know, I think
He probably needs to be on medications
two or
if he's
three
not
high
doing
blood
anything else.
pressures and cholesterol and a gout medication and a diabetic 1 or 2 for diabetes.
Livers
Oh, he's
and
a
rest.
he's a walk-in drugstore, toxic cesspool. So, would you start weaning him off his medications? Because I'm sure what I'm describing
No.
to you is really evident in many people out there listening to us.
First of all, it's not within our licensure to take people off medications, and so we wouldn't do that. But one of the things that we have as a tool is we're able to harmonize people to their medications, so we can limit, if not completely negate, the negative side effects of the medications.
That's wonderful.
It's amazing. That's a really fantastic aspect of what we do, because we don't want to be dealing with symptoms that are created by the medication and just chasing our tail even worse.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's one aspect. And then getting somebody hydrated, 1 quart for 50 pounds of body weight. So I weigh 180, and so every day I drink 4 quarts. I drink a gallon every day. And
That's great.
you know, within that's a basis where
How
to
do you
start.
come up with that formula?
1 quart for 50 pounds? Where did that come from?
Because I've been on the internet searching for like validity on numbers for water.
The body's many cries for water.
Oh, Dr.
He has
Buttman
it in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a book.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so you would do that. You'd hydrate him.
Hydrate them.
And then talk diet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, diet is huge. I mean, he's created this. The refined
Because
carbohydrates.
diabetes is climbing so fast in this country.
It's amazing.
It's astonishing. I mean, we're looking at women who used to be secondary to men, but now women are catching up with men as far as diabetes, 30s and 40s.
He would have to have a complete elimination of sugar from his diet. And our definition of sugar is a little bit broader than the
Refined
table
sugar.
sugar or candies and things like that. Obviously, those things are out of the question. But potatoes, pasta, white breads, even whole wheat breads, things like that, completely eliminated. And then working with the liver, the pancreas, the adrenal glands.
Could he recover those, in your estimation?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Fabulous.
And the essence is that through TBM...
Even though he's 66 years old.
66 years young.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Just had to throw that in there.
Through the essence of the total body modification, the TBM, we're able to assess radionically different viruses, such as a Coxsackie B virus, chlamydia pneumonia, which have been implicated with juvenile as well as adult onset diabetes. And
so, okay, so the first, we only have 3 more minutes.
we went quick.
The first thing we would do is we would suggest that people come in and they run through each of your curriculums or each of your modalities.
That's how we do it. I mean, that's how people come in and we put them through the whole process of it. And we each.
Do they get a printout then?
Yes, they get a printout of the
so they can
objective.
Review it?
Right, exactly.
Okay, and you don't. I mean, you sent me out with one little homeopathic preparation. I didn't walk out with like 90 bottles of vitamins.
Try not to
which
do
was
that.
very cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it was doable. Very doable.
If you've got to take 90 pills a day, first of all, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
So I wouldn't ask any of my patients.
Not
to
really
do that.
living well, is it?
Right.
So, okay, so they would do that, and then they would run through each of you, and then come back in 2 or 3 months, or would they come back in another month?
Depending on the person, we set up their own individualized treatment plan.
Okay.
So it depends.
All right.
It depends. Some people come in a couple times a week in the beginning to get them back on track.
Do you do adjustments as well then?
Well, we're chiropractors, yeah.
Yeah.
So we assess the body head to toe.
Cool.
Look at it structurally, chemically, and emotionally.
So this is healing from A to Z.
Yeah.
Basically,
That's a good
and
way of saying
you set up a plan, and you show people here's your protocol. This is how you participate. This is how we change what's going on.
Right.
So you're like a complete educational package. Basically.
Healing from A to Z in multiple different languages.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. We're running out of time. So I just want to thank you guys for being here.
Thanks
for having
Thanks for having us. This is great.
If I can make a recommendation to you, I would personally recommend that you do thermal digital imagery along with the applied kinesiology, and to do the homeopathy is wonderful because they're all really non-invasive. They're wonderful modalities for assessing your wellness or lack thereof and setting protocols and positions so you can start to heal your body without doing anything invasive and without waiting for trouble. So, anything else you can add for us?
I think you
Drink
covered it.
water.
Yeah.
What about tap, real quick?
Tap water?
Yeah.
No, stay away from
Stay away
it.
from that.
Especially
Why?
down here, yeah. Well, I mean, spring water's better for you.
Okay.
Drink
So
fresh
stick
water.
to spring. Try not to do tap.
Exactly.
Distilled.
In certain cases, it's necessary, but
If you're an iron
for
or a
purposes
fountain.
of your listening audience, spring water, stick to it.
Okay, well, distilled, from what I understand, pulls more minerals out of the body,
exactly.
right? So we shouldn't do that.
Right.
So hydrate, and we should do how many cups a day? How
1
many?
quart for every 50 pounds.
1 quart for every 50 pounds. So a
And then
quart
up
is
the
4
quart.
cups.
No. Well,
right.
4 8-ounce glasses,
Yeah,
correct.
it's 4 8-ounce glasses.
Right.
Sure.
So I weigh 150, so I should be doing at least 3 quarts a day.
Correct.
Exactly.
But if you weighed
Ginger.
155, you should do the 4. Just
Okay.
up it.
Just up it even more. And if you don't drink water, start slowly, otherwise you'll be in the bathroom all the time. So
Your
work
body
your way
gets
into
used to it.
And then what about dietary changes? Fruits and veggies?
Proteins,
fruits, and veggies.
Vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Right.
gentlemen. Dr. Weissman, it was wonderful having
Thanks
you
so
on the
much,
show.
Deborah.
We'd love to have you back.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for
also
having us.
Dr. Vane, thank you. If you need more answers to your questions regarding thermal digital imagery, doing applied kinesiology, about the center up in Northbrook that these two kind gentlemen offer for your services, please give me a call. I'll be happy to refer you out and give you their webpage. You can take a look. Until next week, take good care of your health. God bless and keep you safe. Bye.